What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Dance and Talks, which will soon change its name to Dance Specific Talks as we are working on a collaboration with Be Fit And Sensual and their dance specific training methods. So be on the lookout for this new name of this podcast, Dance Specific Talks, which will launch in a few moments. And we are happy to go into this brand new fresh collaborationship where we are gonna reach more dancers and more unique stories. Now I'm super excited because in this episode we are traveling to the Caribbean and the little island Sint Maarten as we are interviewing no one else than the dancer Bianca.
Send a kiss, 'cause you're blessing now. Stick it for real one. Session, mommy, real strong. Feel you is the deal, girl. When you walk it all on me, girl, you feeling up the vibe, so don't knock it down tonight. And you making me feel alive, and you holding me tight, girl. You could send on, your best to me, girl. You could send on, and I'll deal with it properly. So, girl, don't slow down when you roll that. Badam, badam, dum, dum. Girl, you hot explosion. Badam, badam, dum, dum. Any man that leave you, da-dum, da-dum, dum, dum. Spotlight, let me see you, 'cause you know.
So what do you need to know about Bianca? Well, she started off in her little island Sint Maarten in the Caribbean as a dancer for several different styles, for several different teachers, and later on decided in her teenage years to start going to New York. She quickly found her way in there, but it wasn't all just success stories, and we're gonna get into it in this interview. She's today signed for Block in New York and LA and has been working with artists as Chris Brown, Sean Paul, Skip Marley, Afro B, and many more. Now, we are going to get into this interview, but don't forget to follow and subscribe, rate and comment on our podcast. Right now, it's called Dance and Talks on all the platforms, and it will soon change name to Dance Specific Talks. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook at a live story, and you can comment on every single video so we know which one is your favorite. Now, let's get it going. Welcome to this interview, Bianca. Pa, 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 pa. This is crazy. Like, we have never met. I feel like I know you. We have a friend in common, and I have checked through your Instagram, and this is how I got stuck on your page. It's like a paradise of sun, beaches, dancing, rhythms, and I can really tell that you're proud of where you're from, and I want to know all about it. Right now, I just want to know, where are you located? Where in the world, and where are you around you right now?
So right now I'm in Sint Maarten, which is where I was born and raised, but I live in New York, and that's exactly where I would have been right now if it wasn't for Corona. But I'm happy to be home. Like you said, now you're seeing all my videos on the beach and in the sun, so I'm making it work right now.
Right. So how long have you actually lived in New York before you moved back right now?
I've been in New York for about 5 years. So I moved there when I was 18 years old, and now I'm 23.
All right. We're gonna get into like your dance journey. I kind of wanna start with just you right now, Bianca, in this moment. Like, what are you most excited about in your life right now?
In terms of dance?
In terms of whatever, actually. It could be dance, could be something else.
Because like dance is such a huge part of my life, but there's like a whole other aspect of my life that like people have no idea about. So that's why I always ask, because it's like, it's two completely different spectrums, you know? But in terms of dance, like actually this year was the year that I was finally going to go to LA. And as a commercial dancer, like LA, Los Angeles, California is like everybody's dream, because that's where all the major work is. That's where like the movies, the tours, the live performances, the award shows, like that's where it's at. And like 2020 was going to be the year that like I left New York and went to LA for new experiences, auditions, just to like connect with people. And when Corona hit, that's how I got stuck here. But I do intend that when this is all over to head back to New York, pack up all my stuff and head to LA, because like I have to. Like there's no way that like as a dancer I could not continue to move towards LA, because that's just always been my dream since I moved to New York. By the time I moved to New York, I was like, all right, I need to go to LA, you know? So that's what I'm excited about, hopefully for 2021. And then outside of dance, actually, my newest venture, I've been learning how to DJ. And that's been super exciting. Like, it's funny because like I always thought in my head I would have been a good DJ, just because like I'm always downloading music. You know, as dancers, like we get sick of music so fast. We want to hear new music all the time, different beats to freestyle to and dance to. And so like I always love music. And one of my DJ friends just came to me and he was like, you know, like you have such a great energy as a dancer, but I feel like you could be so much more. Like, how about I teach you how to DJ? And I was just like, that could be cool. And like literally after the first day that I started learning, I was like, oh my God, I have to continue. And so it's been about a month now since I've learned. And then like this past weekend, I had my debut at this like hookah lounge, and like all my friends came out to like support me. But it's like, I didn't really know if I was going to be like passionate about it, but like I love it. So now it's like a new path for me to like follow, you know, and that's something that I'm super excited about now. Something that's new, something that makes me like nervous, you know, because I've been dancing all my life. So unless it's like a big show or something different that's happening, like I don't get that nervous. You know, I'm pretty confident with the videos that I put out, with the work that I do. But like now this is like something new that's like fresh, that's like, oh my God, like, you know, you just don't know what's gonna happen if I make a mistake, or, you know, it's just like, it's cool to think about new possibilities, you know, new experiences that could like enter my life because of this new journey now, you know?
It's crazy. Like, I think that is the major upside of this entire year. Like I like everyone I talk to also have like these new projects, and it's like you have that time and that space to get out of your comfort zone, because here we are not having a lot of gigs. So I definitely like I have been checking out some of your posts about this DJing, and I completely agree with you. To have one DJ friend in your life is like mandatory. And I remember even as a young Swedish girl, like my DJ friend was the first one introducing me to dance hall and like grime and garage, and like that has escalated to into like my dancing too. So I am super excited to see what this DJ journey for you is gonna also do for you as a dancer.
Right.
Very, very exciting. All right, so you said you were taking like you've been dancing your entire life, but how did it start actually? Was it like something that was in your family? Was it a lot of dancing around you in St. Maarten? Or how did it actually spark your interest and your passion?
Honestly, it started off as a hobby. I have two older sisters, and my mom was very much like that parent that just school was not enough. Like she always wanted to make sure that we had other hobbies outside of school. So I was swimming, I was dancing, I was playing tennis, like I was doing like everything. I was playing the violin, I was playing the piano. Like she just made sure whatever I said, Mom, I think I want to play the violin. She was like, all right, violin classes, you know. So she just wanted us to be very active and have hobbies, so we could decide like, you know what, if school is not working out, like here's a possibility of different things that could work out for us, you know. So my sisters were in dance class, and then by the time I turned like 5 years old, like she was like, all right, like you want to dance? And I'm like, yeah, sure, my sisters are in dance. And it really didn't become a passion until I hit like my young teens. And that's when I really started like finding my style, because I started off with ballet, jazz, and musical theater. And I always loved it. But then when I turned a teenager, I was like, okay, I'm all about this hip hop life, you know, like I was like the hip hop queen. And so we had like limited classes of hip hop at this dance school. We only had like 2 dance schools on the island. And so it was really just up to me and the people around me to like go and explore this style and figure out like what it meant to us and our bodies, you know, because we didn't really have that real hip hop training. And I just fell in love with it. And as I started to like choreograph and like join competitions for my school or like as an individual, then I started to realize like, whoa, I actually really love performing on stage in front of a crowd with the lights and stuff. And then I realized how much I love to choreograph. And then that's when I was like, oh, I think I really want to dance. But to be honest, even as a teen, when I started to really love it, I always told myself that dance was not a real career. Like I always told myself, like, no matter how much I love it, this is something that I can't pursue because it's not gonna get me anywhere. Because, you know, obviously when you think about artists, you think about starving artists, you think about, you know, them trying to make this dream come true with instability. Like it's just something that is not attainable, you know? So I always used to tell myself that as a young teen. But yeah, now here I am.
Yeah, and years later, and you still dancing, and this is still your job.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't I think that that is what every dancer around the world, no matter what you're from, no matter what background, we're always told like, yeah, but what if you break a leg? What happens then? Like, where's your plan B?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it scares a lot of people off from really truly going for it. I definitely think your mom did right to put you in dance classes. Tell me a little bit about like the dancing scene in St. Maarten. Like you as going into more of the hip hop thing, was that you know, very accepted, or did they already have a hip hop culture? Like, was there also battles and stuff you can attend, or was it like very centered around the dance schools?
Honestly, I would say dance in general, at least in my eyes on the island, is something that it's not like Jamaica, where it's like, this is our culture, this is how we move, this is what we do. To me, dance revolved around a dance school, you know, and there was never really a culture behind it. It was either that you were in dance class or you were not in dance class, you know? And when it came to hip hop, to me, it was never really something that was like pushed. It was like that extra thing that if you wanted to do it, you could do it. But it was not something that they were like, this is mandatory fundamentals that you need to have in your body as a dancer. It was not like that, you know, and we didn't really have any teachers that could teach that anyway. It was just people who, you know, went to New York for a few years, got some hip hop training, some street jazz training, and came back to teach us choreography. But there was really no fundamentals of hip hop. It was more just style, you know, it was their style that they taught us. And I don't think it was really something that was pushed. And there was no like street culture around it. There was never any battles. Freestyle was never really enforced, or, you know, like there was just certain things that were missing, you know, because the culture was not really that, I don't want to use the word respected, but respected, you know? Mm-hmm. So even for me, like as a young teen trying to figure out like what hip hop meant to me, it was never even fundamentals. It was more just like, okay, I have this style that's like a fusion, and I really also love hip hop. So like, let me see how I could just continue to like expand on this in my own way, you know? But it wasn't until I moved to New York that I even knew that hip hop had fundamentals and had a culture behind it, you know? So that was a whole different journey after that, you know?
So interesting, because I mean, I do know you have like a carnival season that is pretty epic. And when I asked our mutual friend, like, okay, but you know, she was like, you should come. And I'm like, but I don't know what to dance on. And they were like, oh, no, you don't dance anything particular, it's soca. And I'm like, oh, okay. How was it then? Like, have you participated a lot in the carnival and performed, I assume, a lot?
Yes. More like in my later teens though. My mom, my parents never really wanted me to take part when I was younger. Because as you probably know, like with dancehall and soca and Caribbean culture, it's very, vulgar, which is not a good or bad thing, you know, but I guess my parents at that time just didn't want me to be exposed to certain behaviors from a young age, you know. But as I started to grow up and understand, okay, like this is my culture, it doesn't have to like affect my way of life, then they were like, okay, yeah, you could go to the parties, you could go like dancing on the streets, you could go, you know. So yeah, but then I fell in love with it. I was like, whoa, this is like lit.
And it's funny because it also have become a part of your career, like you releasing videos and pushing for that heritage as well. And I'm promising now in this podcast that one day I'm gonna be at that carnival too, in these feathers, beautiful outfits. It's my goal. It's
such a nice time too, because people come from all over the world, and it's like a no judgment zone. Because for me, that's really the only time that I see people from the island really letting go, really letting like wilding out and just like being themselves, you know. And like to me, I feel like my culture is very accepting, you know, like we understand that there's like tourists coming in 24/7, so we just take everybody in and it's just a huge party. And I think you would enjoy it, you know. I know it's a little intimidating because it's like you don't understand the music, you don't know the culture, like what do I even do? But it's like, trust me, once you get there, it's just fun vibes.
Yeah, because I'm a dancehall dancer, and for me, soca was completely something else. So when I attended my first carnival with soca, I was like, "Where's the dance steps?"
And no dance steps. There's no moving out. I love that.
I was very confused. I do love the entertainment, though. It's lovely.
I love that.
So, like you as a young 18-year-old, excited, passionate dancer, tell me about the first trip to New York and how it affected you.
Well, so I think I went to New York for the first time when I was like 15 years old. And I think that was probably around the time that I was like trying to test out to see if dancing is something that I really wanted to do. And my parents were super supportive. So in the summer, I would go to New York, I would go to Broadway Dance Center, and I would take this dance intensive for the whole summer. And at Broadway Dance Center, but then I also used to go to this dance convention called The Pulse. And that's when I really got like insight into not just like a next level of dance, but like what the industry was like. You know, like the competitiveness of those dancers, like from young, like they just been in this environment that was like, for me, dance was a hobby. It was, and you grow, yes, gradually year by year as you continue to take classes, but it's a difference when you're taking classes and when you are training to become a professional dancer in the industry. So me stepping out there, first of all, I was like, whoa, these people are like next level crazy about dance. And I don't think I'm that crazy about it. And then I was like, this is so much competition. But I never let it like stop me from pursuing it. It was more just like, okay, taking it as an experience, you know? And then I couldn't wait until I turned 16 to go again. And then I turned 17 to go again, you know? But definitely stepping out there was like, that's the moment when you have to really think to yourself, like, is this the environment that I want to be in 24/7? Like, can I even do this? Is my body capable? Am I capable mentally of being around this level of like competition? And sometimes it's not just competition, you know, it's like people are like so involved in this craft that like it could become a nasty world sometimes, you know, like people take this very seriously and they don't care figuratively or literally if they step on your toes, you know. But my mom, like, no matter what, and no matter when I had my days that, like, I was just like, maybe this is not for me, she was like, Bianca, like, you just started. You just got out here. Like, wait, take your time, push through, and see what can happen, you know? Because for me, after a while, I was like, oh, these people are weird. I don't want to do this. You know, like, this environment is weird. It's too much for me, and I just didn't like it, you know? But she was always just like, it's too soon, like you can't give up, like just keep going, just keep going. And I was getting injured. I was like so sad. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is new styles of dance I never even knew existed. Like, I'm just out here, like I went from like a little fish tank to like the whole ocean, you know. But it was, yeah, you know that feeling, like, but it was worth it in the end, obviously, now looking back. But during those times, it was like, whoa, it's just a new world, you know? Like either you sink or swim, you know?
Really. I can just like, I can't even imagine because I didn't go to New York being that young, but like, did you ever feel like, oh, here we go. I'm from this tiny little island. These are like all Americans. And like, did you ever feel like a culture clash? Because, you know, you just described like St. Maarten, like everyone is welcome. You're used to having a lot of people coming in and you're like this, you know, warm, friendly place. And then you come to New York and everyone is like elbowing to the front. How did you experience that?
Oh my God, it was the worst. It was the worst experience ever, ever. Like, yes, cultural differences is a real thing. And I was like so shy when I was like 18. Shy in the sense that like I didn't know how to like talk to people that I didn't know. I didn't know like how to introduce myself and find myself within a group of people, you know? That was number one. And then number two, I was like, these people are like so extra, so flamboyant, so weird. Like I just could not connect with these people. I was like, why are they so extra? You know, like this like it's just personalities that I was just so not used to. And like it made me feel even more introverted. Like it wasn't like I felt like, oh, I could be like comfortable around these people. I could have conversations. It was just like everybody was just so extra. And I was just like, why? Like, what is all of this like extraness for? Like, and I wish that I could explain it in a different way. But for me, like I'm the type of person, no matter where I am or who I'm around, like I'm always myself, you know? But so then being that type of person, you could kind of sense when people are just not being themselves, or maybe don't even really know who they are. So they try to just put on this persona. And for me, it was just like the weirdest environment ever. So it took me, to be honest, it took me about a good 3 years to really adjust and like find my people. And like I found my people as I started to find myself. You know, I started to find that the dance hall community and the Afro community, because those were the people that I most connected to in a real way. You know, like being around the commercial dancers, the Americans, like it was cool, but like I never really felt a true connection with them. It was only until I found the dance hall and the Afro community that I was like, whoa, these are my people. Like I could talk however I want. I got my accent, like they understand me. And it was like the first time after 3 years being out there that I was like, whoa, I might actually belong to something now, you know? But that it took probably because of the type of person that I am, it took me longer to adjust, but that's because I wouldn't sacrifice me being myself to fit in. You know, if I had to be somebody else to fit in, I would have not been happy, you know, and I would have never allowed myself to be somebody else to fit into a group of people for the purpose of what, you know? So, but it was definitely a long journey. And then on top of that too, like I love my home. Like I love nature. I love being around plants and animals and trees and, you know, going on hikes and stuff. So it was like the complete opposite. Moving to a place like New York where it's like concrete jungle. You can't even watch the sunset. You don't even know where the sun is rising. You can't see stars in the sky. You can't see the moon. Like, and those are like the small things that mean so much to me, you know? So moving out there and just the noise, the cars, the people, the rude people, I was just like, what am I sacrificing to make my dreams a reality? Like, am I sacrificing every single thing that I love to be in this place that I hate to make my dreams come true? You know, it took me so long. It took me a long time.
That is crazy. Like what you just said, like really touched me, because it's like how many things have we sacrificed? It almost makes me like a little bit teary out, because I'm just thinking about like how many birthdays, how many missed family gatherings, how many, you know, as you say, like sunsets somewhere in a beautiful beach am I sacrificing to like live with people because we don't have money to like have our own flat. You know, I just like there's there's just so much sacrificing, and people still say, you know, like, oh, you have the world's best job, you just like show up.
Yeah.
And dance, and you still live in your soft pants, and you still, you know,
They don't
it's
they
like,
don't see how much it takes. They
no.
don't see how much it took, how much it takes, and how much it continues to take to live the lives that we live, you know, even within the dance world itself, like the amount of hours that we put in, the amount of work that we put in for them to just see a 1 minute video or a 5 minute performance is like, you have no idea what you are really looking at when you see this person, when you see this dancer, when you see this production. They have no idea. It's just like, oh my God, you guys are having so much fun. You're so great. It's so exciting. It's like, yeah, it's exciting, but what did it take for us to get here?
Yeah, and how many times you look down on your feet and you're like, I'm so sorry. Like,
Yep.
I'm so sorry I put you in these high heels or whatever. Like, yeah. How, like, one of the most interesting parts, I think, with dancers is like how to get out of the loop of like, you getting there, you have your connections, but you're still like in that center of that area in your dance career where people are like, but if you're in this, you get, you know, you get visible. We don't have any budget, but like you can be here. And until going into like, I do actually have paid gigs. I do actually know how to request for paid gigs. And because I saw like you're signed to Block, right? And like, how did that journey happen? Because you come there, you train, you like, it takes you years to find your people. How do you actually go from like a single fish in the ocean to actually getting signed and being able to like create more of a career?
Right. Well, first of all, again, because I went there with the intentions of more like experimenting the whole dance life and the whole industry, it was like one thing just kind of leads to the next, you know? Like I joined the training program at Broadway Dance Center. And then I had a mentor, and my mentor used to do flash mobs for people for like engagements, weddings, those kind of things. And so because he was my mentor, he would always, you know, reach out to his students and be like, hey, I'm having a flash mob. It's not paid. If you guys want to come, you know, here's the rehearsal day, whatever. So for me, I was like, any experience at that time was valuable because I was not thinking about the money at that time. I was like, I'm not even a professional yet. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm still exploring all these different styles. I just need to connect with choreographers and people and gain experience. So I was doing free flash mobs all the time until it was like, okay, like she's one of my like my usual flash mob members. Now I have a paid one. I'm gonna put her onto this. So eventually those flash mobs became like paid stuff. And then, you know, through just being around the dance school and taking classes from different choreographers, like some choreographers really like you. So then they say, oh, hey, like come be a part of this project. And of course, you know, it's free. Come join this dance contest with me and my crew or whatever, you know, but it's like, those things are important because those are the connections that you build to eventually making the money and getting the bigger jobs, you know? And eventually during the Broadway dance training program, I was also in this dance crew called UDL, Urban Dance League. And it was actually through the guy who owned that group, like he put me in contact. Well, he actually contacted the agents at Block and he was like, this girl is super dope, you need to sign her. And this is actually a funny story, but I won't keep it super short. It was like 5 months into my journey in New York, and I had always wanted to be signed to Block. So when he told me like, hey, I'm gonna pass on your information to these agents, I think you're ready to be signed, I was just like, he's probably just talking some BS, like why would he put me on to something like this? But they contacted me and next thing you know, I'm signed. But I was so not ready. I was not ready. I was still getting used to New York, getting used to all these styles. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what it even meant to be signed. I didn't know what it meant to go to auditions and play that role of a professional dancer because I still felt like I was not, you know? And so Months passed by, they were sending me to auditions. I was not going to any of them because I was so nervous. I was so scared. And at that point, like, I hated New York. I hated everything about what I was doing in New York. And so I told my mom, I'm leaving. I'm leaving New York. I'm coming back home because this is just not for me. So I left. They didn't hear from me for about 4 or 5 months. And they were like, hello, like, are you still in New York? Like, we haven't heard from you. You haven't been going to any auditions. So they was like, we are going to discontinue our contract with you. And I was sad, but I understood because it was like, well, if you're not taking the opportunities that these people are giving to you, then it's going to be taken away. Mm-hmm. So literally after they discontinued the contract, they had an audition a year later. And then I went to the audition, and then that's when I got re-signed. But it felt so much better for me to actually know that I was ready that time. You know, like, it's been a year and a half now that I've been in New York. I understand what I'm doing. I understand more about how these things work. I'm confident. I'm in the audition. And I had to work for it. Somebody didn't give it to me. You know, I had to go and I had to make it happen for myself. And then when I got re-signed, they were like, well, welcome back. And then literally right after that, that's how everything just started to fall into place. Like, I booked my first job like a month later. And then a few weeks after that, I was on tour in Japan. You know, like, things just started to happen. And after Japan, because I still didn't have any friends or people that I would consider friends or like a community of people. It was only after Japan, being around so many other amazing dancers that were in the industry for years. Like, I was on tour with girls. I was on tour with Drake, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, like the biggest artists in the industry that you could ever imagine. Like, I was on tour with girls like that. So just being around them and learning so much and taking on that energy of like confidence and like positivity, like, finally when I went back to New York, and I think it was just like the journey of really finding myself first to be able to find my community. Then as soon as I went back to New York, it was like, oh, like, dance hall and Afro beats is popping. Like, I want to go take a class. And then as soon as I went, it was just like, whoa, like, these are my people. And after that, like, nothing was ever the same.
I want to take the time to shout out this episode's sponsors, Be Fit And Sensual. I have been working with Be Fit And Sensual's Dancers Bootcamp online program for a while now, and I know from first-hand experience that it works. So what is Be Fit And Sensual except worldwide coaching individually one by one? Well, it's also Dancers Bootcamp online. Now, listen up to this. Dancers Bootcamp Online is the #1 world platform for us dancers who want to train dance-specific with easy follow-along videos. Not only do you have tons of workout videos inside Dancers Bootcamp Online, but you also become a part of this global movement and community with like-minded dancers whose goal is to become better each and every day. Not only do you have weekly updated schedules, for the ones who want help to build their own workout routine, you also have 2 full 30-day challenges with dance-specific workouts only. Then you have different sections focused on different parts of the body. Let me tell you some examples. You have the abdominal section, Bachata booty section, nutrition guidance, dancers mastermind if you really want to get into master your own mind, and also stretching for dancers, flexibility, knee rehab for dancers, and kettlebell flow for dancers. On top of all this, you also have weekly webinars and live workouts with Coach Sebastian, and you get a free coaching call with the team whenever you feel like you need it. Listen, I would never promote this if I hadn't tried it myself. I tell you, throughout Corona, this has been a life savior for me as a dancer when I couldn't go to classes or anything else. And I truly support the dance-specific training that Sebastian and the team of Be Fit And Sensual are doing. So if this sounds good to you, it's getting even better because we have our own promo code. When you are writing in a live story in one word, ALIVE story in one word, you now get 25% discount on the monthly membership as long as you stay. You can cancel whenever you want and there's no startup fee or hidden costs. So if you have any other questions about training or nutrition, never hesitate to reach out to Sebastian at his social media for personal guidance. By dancers, for dancers.
Wow, that's incredible. Like, I'm so happy to hear this, because I think that a lot of people think that it's like a very static, continuous journey. So to hear that, you know, you had these doubts, you didn't go, because auditioning is not a joke. Like, I don't know if I myself could have gone through that, but a lot of commercial dancers have to go to auditions almost weekly, daily, in order to get jobs.
Yeah.
So this is very important, like to feel like you are getting ready first and then stepping into it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I saw that you've been working with some really dope artists, so as Chris Brown, Sean Paul, Lil Baby, Skip Marley. Like, tell me about some of, you know, a favorite moment on stage that you have had so far.
A favorite moment. Wow. Okay, well, I would have to say my journey with Afro B has been pretty dope, because first of all, we have so much freedom with him to be ourselves on stage. You know, me and the 3 other girls that I usually dance with, we get to choreograph the whole show, and we have our freestyle moments on stage. And because we also dance together, like back in New York, it's like we know each other, we have a really good relationship. So once we're on stage together, it's just fun vibes, you know. I got to learn so much about the Afro and Caribbean culture through being around them, and also being on stage and having to like explore, like, how can I freestyle differently this time? How can I put on more of a show this time, you know? And he's put us onto some really great, fun opportunities. And just him as an artist in general, super humble, super sweet. Like, we have a great working relationship. So for me, that's been one of like the highlights of like my journey. And what's so dope about that job is that he actually contacted me on Instagram. So it wasn't even like through my agent. And this is like one thing that I really stress for artists now too, is like, it's great to have an agent, it's great to go to those auditions and have that type of work, but you know, your social media is like super important, especially if you are your brand outside of your agent. Like, it's so important to like push who you are, because people really see that. And when they're looking for dancers, like, he was connected to one dancer and she was like, oh, here's this girl, here's that girl, here's Bianca. And that was it. He hit me up on Instagram. He was like, I'm doing this show, I want you girls to come. And then he was like, oh, by the way, I'm going on a US tour, like, I want you guys to come. And that was it. You know? So that's been like a pretty exciting journey with him. But I know everybody always asks about Chris Brown. So one thing I would have to say about him, like, it was really nice to like meet him in person, because first of all, he was like super sweet. He looked everybody in the eyes, shake everybody's hands, and was like, you know, thank you for being here. And then just watching him on set, like, you would think that after doing like 1,000 music videos that he would be so over it, but like, he was so focused, so dedicated, so serious about what he does. I was just like, I can't believe somebody like this on this level is like really this serious on set, like taking this, like, this is his life, you know? So it inspired me to continue to like work hard and be the best that I could be. And then also it was just inspiring to see somebody at that level think that they could still push to be greater, you know? Because we looking at him like, oh my God, it's Chris Brown, he cannot get any better, you know? But that was definitely like one of the fastest jobs I ever had on set, because really and truly, like, that video, we only did like 4 takes, and that was it. Like, we filmed 4 times, and that was it. We were done, you know? But like, I really had to take that moment in, because I was like, oh my God, like, this is like Chris Brown, you know? And I think that's been like, for people, that has been like the highlight of my career so far. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, it's Chris Brown, you know?
But as you say, like, it's not always the biggest names who give us the most powerful, empowering experiences.
Yeah,
definitely. So Yeah, that's really, really dope to hear. And also how different it can be. You know, sometimes it takes less time, sometimes it's a whole tour. Um, when you talk about your Instagram, as you know, I found you there as well. Like the first thing I noticed was, of course, you know, like the focus is a lot about outdoors. Like you really are proud of your surroundings. You really have these beautiful backgrounds in almost every single video. And I do know that like you and our friend in common both have like this necklace of St. Maarten. It's like, you know, it's almost like I'm wondering why St. Maarten itself is not hiring you as ambassador for this little nation, because it's like, you know, you're really showing up and you really like, have I convinced you yet? This is an amazing place. How do you make sure to maintain that when you're not in St. Maarten, when you don't have like this access to beautiful palms and beaches and dope locations? Because as you say, like your Instagram is your brand. How do you keep on maintaining it in the same vibe or your authentic self when you're not there?
Well, to be honest, no, it's completely different. Like now I look at my Instagram, I'm like, wow, it's so blue. The skies are blue, the ocean is blue, everything is blue, and I love it, you know? But obviously when I'm in New York, like, even though of course I'm thinking about how everything looks, at the same time I'm just thinking about pushing content, you know? So when I'm teaching classes, those are videos. When I'm taking classes, those are more videos. When I decide to shoot a concept video, those are more videos. And it's just like, of course we try to find like the best locations, but you know, New York is New York, so pretty much all you can do is use Times Square or a studio. But
Yeah.
you know, for me, it's like outside of just showing the locations, because I could show the locations and maybe you could feel like maybe I'm not really represented for the island. But for me, it's like when I'm out there, when I'm out in New York and people hear me talk and people know where I'm from, like to me, that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? Like they know me as like the redhead dancer from the Caribbean. Right now I'm pink, but you know, whatever. But you know, it's like for me, like that's what representation is. You know, like I have my chain on. It means the world to me. Like my island means the world to me. And just like you said, like how am I not the ambassador for the island? You know, like that's a different conversation. That's just it. You would think that would be demotivating to me, but at the end of the day, like I love my island so much, and regardless of if people recognize the work that I'm putting in, or regardless of if they see the work and don't care, whatever it is, like I'm still doing it because I love my island, and this is the place that raised me. This is a place that like made me who I am. You know, every unique small little thing about me is because of this place, you know? So I do hope that one day, you know, things change and the government starts to like really represent the people who need to be represented, you know, like really put us in the place that we deserve. But that's not why I do what I do, you know, like regardless, everybody's going to know where I'm from. Everybody's going to know that I love my island with all my heart. And I'm just going to keep doing it, you know, until everybody knows and everybody wants to come visit, because that's the goal, you know, that's the goal, to get people to come and fall in love with my island just as much as me.
Oh, I'm like, I just got this vision now of like you creating some kind of like dance retreat, you know, in St. Maarten, and have like all these people from all over the world coming, you know, because that's what yoga teachers are doing, yeah? They're just getting these beautiful locations and they're like, you know, I'm from UK, but I'm still gonna have people from all over coming to Thailand or wherever. So, you know, I might sow a little seed there for you.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, right. Just let me know, you know. I have checked out the locations and the flight tickets before. I might do it again.
Oh my God. It's probably cheap right now, no?
Yeah, if we can get out of Europe in these times. Yeah.
Like
That's the semi-lockdown is working for us right now. But yeah. I also kind of want to shift the focus from like, you know, you have the dancing, but you also have the other Bianca, like the other half of you, or the person who maybe is completely not dancing all the time. And I kind of I stole like a little quote you posted on your Instagram, which said, "Your mind is your lead, injected with positivity. Your feet are your foundation. Walk with purpose, and your heart is your stamp. Make it beautiful." And your comment with that was, "When material status and riches fade, what will be left of you?" I love that, and I kind of just want to hear why you posted that and what it resonates within you.
Because for me, I feel like, we live in a material world, right? And we get so concerned with the things that we see. Who we are is not represented by like our traits and our personality. Who we are is like, oh, like, what do I do? What do you do? That's how people define who you are in society, And I feel like we lose track of what's important. And to me, it's like how you impact somebody else's life, for the better. How you treat people, what you leave them with at the end of the day. And I feel like a lot of times people those are not the things that we wake up every day thinking about, We just think about, especially as dancers, as artists, sometimes we are so concerned with our brand, pushing content. We don't care how we treat people. We don't care to check in on other people. It's like, I gotta work, I gotta grind, I gotta make sure I'm doing what I could do to become the best. And it's like, when you take a break from all of that and you step outside of that world and you look in, it's like, whoa, those things are important, like whatever you strive to do and be in your life is great. But to me, your lasting impact is going to be the things that you made people feel, the things that you said to people and you share with people to make them better at the end of the day. So when I post things like that, to be honest, every single quote that I post is not just a quote to be posted. Like, that is like a true insight to like who I really am, outside of whatever people might see. Oh my God, the hair, the artist, the traveling, like it's all so glamorous. It's like, I want people to understand that there's a mindset behind the success, and that there's like a real person behind the success, and what type of person there is behind the success. And it's a person that thinks about how I'm impacting other people, and hopefully in a positive, loving way, like how am I being portrayed in this world? How do people see me? Like, to me, those things are important, So when I post those things, it's a reflection of me, and it's also things that I want people to think about, So I feel like in society, we just get so lost. We get so lost in our minds about how we look, how we should be, what people think about us, But it's like, at the end of the day, the only way you're going to survive in this world is if you have a strong mental, capacity, like to just believe in yourself and be positive and spread that love, So in a nutshell, yeah, that's pretty much like, why I post those things. I don't want people to just come to my page and be like, oh my God, great dancer. Like, it's all so glamorous. Like, I really want people to know that there's substance behind the person that they're looking at, whether they know me or not,
For sure. And I also seen like, whether or not you always will continue teaching dance, you might end up teaching other people, or at least meet people and inspire them. What would be like the most epic result of you teaching or you meeting others? Like, when you say how you make them feel, what would you love to make them feel?
I think I just want everybody to know that they are here for a reason. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I really wish people would take more time to think about what that means. Because a lot of times people don't think that they have any purpose, any impact, They look at people like me or other people on Instagram and it's like, wow, like, you're doing all these great things. Like, I wish I could be like that. And it's like, you don't have to be like me and do what I do to have an impact, I feel like I want everybody to know, again, super cliche, self-love is most important. You can't go out and impact the world if you don't have any love for yourself. Self-confidence, super important. Like, you can't go out preaching to people saying, hey, you gotta be confident, you gotta fight for your dreams, if you yourself are like, and don't get me wrong, we all have insecurities, right? But it's like how we deal with those things. Like, I want to meet people and I want them to know, like, I came exactly from where you came from. And like, I happen to do great things. And I want you to know that you could do the exact same thing. You know, I don't want people to feel like there's levels to this, because there's no levels to this. It's not like, yeah, well, she's just great and I'm just not, you know, like, I want people to know that they are special, that they have something to share with the world, and that they can impact the world in a positive way, and that they already are, even if it's just one person. It doesn't have to be 30,000 followers on Instagram, you know, it could be one person that because you are there with them, they are staying alive. And that within itself is so powerful, you know? And I think I really just want people to know, like, that they have so much power, you know, by just being a good person, being a positive person, being a loving person. It's not about the things that you say or do. Sometimes it's just about the energy that you're giving off, you know, like, be whatever it is that you want to receive, you know? And so I feel like that's just really what, especially for kids on the island now, like, I really want them to look at me and not be like, oh my God, that's something that could never happen. I want them to be like, you know what, that could happen for me too. You know?
Yeah, because I think that is so important, because we have a lot of different role models, like whether it's somebody who taught us dancing or just somebody who showed us music or, you know, whatever. So we necessarily not always feel like we are that role model until you look at somebody and they're like looking at you that way, and you're like, oh shit, I'm reminded, you know, that whatever I do has a consequence, and whatever I looked up to took me further. So whatever I'm doing takes next person further. And it's a beautiful chain of like events that can spiral into something really, really beautiful.
Yeah. And you know what I love? Like this quote that I recently found, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but basically saying that like everybody is a mirror of each other and everybody is connected. So it's like once you see greatness in somebody, that same greatness is in you. It's just, how do I tap into it? How do I find this thing that I'm passionate about? How do I figure out like what it is that I love? But just for you to know that there's a possibility that this is already inside of you and that you could tap into it is so powerful, you know? And so I just want there to be more of a connection in people's minds when they see these people that they think are so great and so talented and so powerful, that same energy is within you. That same energy is within you. It just has to be cultivated, you know? But it's there, and that's the most important thing.
For sure. What would be like one of the things you do as like self-love towards yourself? That doesn't have to do anything with dancing necessarily, but like in those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I love Bianca, for right now I want to treat her. What do you do to show self-love for yourself?
I mean, honestly, for me, like, I just take a break from everything. I take a break from everything. And it's not like, I'm not like a spa type person. I'm not like, oh my God, let me go get my nails done type person. It's like, whatever I feel like doing, whether that's staying in bed, whether that's playing the piano, whether that's just not combing my hair, like I just do whatever I feel like doing, you know, without putting that pressure on myself of like, oh my God, I gotta get up, I have to be this, I have to do this, you know. And I make sure I try every morning, and sometimes I fail at this, but I try every morning and every night to meditate, not even on something positive, but just to like release my mind from all the stress and all the anxiety of everyday life. And then I try to listen to affirmations, things that are going to like uplift me and remind me of who I am. Like, I am powerful, I am strong, I am beautiful. And those things really matter because we don't realize how powerful our minds are. And like our minds are like sponges without us even realizing it. The things that you are seeing, listening to, those things affect you. So if you are not consciously thinking about what you're taking in every single day, those things could be affecting you negatively, you know? So for me, it's like, because I realize that and I realize how powerful the mind is, I'm like, whoa, what would happen if I feed myself with positivity, with love, with all these uplifting things every single day? It must do something to my energy. It must uplift me and carry me throughout the day in a positive way, you know? So for me, those things are important, because when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling anxiety, when I'm feeling just like, oh, like, what am I even doing? Like, in those moments, I also don't feel like it's something that you should try to push away and pretend like it's not there, or try to feed yourself positivity. It's just not gonna work, you know? I think it's embracing those moments when you feel like you are just not doing anything with your life. You'd be feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, whatever. It's like, embrace those moments. And then finally, when you get out of your head and you realize, okay, I just was just having a moment, then snap back into it. Find whatever it is that works for you. Reading, listening to music. And I know, like, of course, as a dancer, people would think like, oh, she probably just gets up and dance to make herself feel better, which actually I never did until I actually realized, like, oh, wow. Like, when I'm physically active, I actually feel so much better. So yes, I put the music in my ears and I'm just dancing and I'm just vibing and I'm just going, because I'm trying to just release all this negative energy that's just built up, you know? But it's just like finding whatever works for you, but always just remembering, like, your mind is a sponge. So you have to be aware of the things that you're putting in there, because those things directly affect your life, whether you believe it or not. The music that you listen to, the TV that you watch, like the people that you surround yourself with. Like, I know we see the quote all the time, but that is real as hell. Like, that is so real. Like, how could you say that you want to be successful and you're surrounding yourself with people that don't do anything every single day of their lives, you know? How could you say that you want to be a speaker and you're not listening to speakers and writing and taking down ideas? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's straightforward. It's just the way that the world works. Like, if you want something, you need to match that vibration. You want to be happy, you need to match that vibration. You need to be around people, you need to listen to things, you need to go to places that bring you to that place, you know? So that's what I do.
But that's really, really cool. Funny enough, I was meditating this morning, and the meditation was all about like to accept that we have circles and that we have rhythms, and just like the trees in the winter, they're not dead. They're just containing back energy so that you can later on bloom out and like come with your creativity. Because if you have those expectations that we usually have as dancers of like, I need to produce, I need to be creative, I need to be on my game all the time, you never really have like a rest period where it's okay for you to not be creative. And that's like a super stressful thing when you are an artist, to just let yourself contain without thinking that you're dead, basically.
Yeah.
It's real. And I love that you point out the mind diet, because it really is. It really is.
Everything. To me, it's above everything. It's above everything, because you could be physically active, you could eat healthy, but if what's going on up here is killing you, it's killing you, you know? Like, this is everything. This is your success or this is your failure. This is your happiness or your sadness. This is like your life or death, you know? And I don't think that we are taught this enough, and that's why we don't realize it, you know? But it's super, to me, I feel like, even like when I think about like my success and like who I am as a person and like why I have an impact, it's not because I know how to move my body. It's not because I know how to DJ or play the piano or whatever it is. This up here, like, I had to realize, like, this is what is carrying me through. Like, my mentality on who I am and how I want to treat people and the impact that I want to have, like, those are things that like you have to really think about, you know? And I'm so grateful for my growth in terms of my mind, because that is what's just bringing me to the next level every single time. If I didn't believe that I would be any good of a DJ, I would have never done it. But because I was able to like cultivate confidence within myself to be like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen if you just try? Like, You are great. Go and be great. Try it. You know, but sometimes even to try for some people is like impossible because of this up here, because of their minds, you know. So I just think it's so important for everybody to just check in with themselves, not like on a subconscious level. Like sometimes we don't even realize how negative we've been with ourselves until we really sit and listen to your mind, and then you're like, whoa, I didn't realize I was talking to myself like that. I didn't realize I didn't think of myself as highly as I thought I did. You know, I think it's so important.
Yeah, it's true. I learned from a very dear friend of mine, you know, how to advocate for yourself, how to be your own lawyer, because you would never let anyone talk to you like that. But you know, you are still being your biggest criticism, you know, like you would never let anyone talk to you like that, but you let yourself talk to yourself like that. So it's definitely, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I am like so honored and so happy for you to bring these subjects up. And in the end of my interviews, I always do something called fill in the blanks, which is basically I start a sentence and you as Bianca, you just end it with a word or with an end of a sentence, exactly how you feel.
A word,
right? Yes. Okay. So the word or the end of the sentence. All right. So we can take one that we talked about, like when I put music in my ears, it makes me feel.
Oh no, I go. It makes me feel ecstatic.
Good one. You got it. Okay. A perfect day in my life looks like
happiness.
When I am in a beautiful place, I try to
really embrace the moment and be there now.
Love it. One of the biggest fears I have overcome is
one of the biggest fears I have overcome. The fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, like that does not exist.
Love it. Okay, I'm gonna get another question on that. When I doubt myself, I tell myself
that I'm here for a reason and that I'm good enough, and that even if I don't feel confident at this time, that I'm going to get there eventually.
Amazing. Okay, a perfect event for me as a dancer would be
an award show with a big artist.
Nice. My friends know me as
they know me as, wow, so many different things. But I think recently I would say super creative and super silly at the same time.
Nice. Love it. When I work, my focus is always on
trying to be different, trying to do different things and not fall into the same habits.
If I would make people try this at least once in their life, it would be
to meditate.
Love it. If I could teach my student one thing during my dance class, it would be
to love yourself.
And last but not least, one thing that I have done the last year that I'm the most proud of
Definitely my mental work. And it seems that every year I feel the same way. But I'm at every year that goes and goes and goes and goes, I realize like this is like the dynamite, like this is like my everything. So 2020 has definitely been like the hardest, but I feel like I'm literally just overcoming and overcoming and overcoming. And it's been because I had to hit rock bottom first mentally to come back up and be like, no way, like I gotta keep going, And I think I really overcame so many like boundaries and barriers and like uncovered so many things I didn't even know that I was feeling and thinking about myself. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so, so much. In the end of my interviews, I always leave the mic to my interview guest. And if there's somebody you want to love bomb, if there's something we should look out for, where we can find you on social media, the mic is yours.
Okay, if I'm going to show some love, definitely my DJ King Kembe, because without him, I wouldn't have been on this new journey. He's been like super supportive of me as a person, of me as an artist. And it's just been really dope to get into a creative zone with somebody else from the island that also wants to do really great things. So much love to him. And then, of course, always shout out to my family because they always been my rock. No matter where I am, no matter what I'm going through, like I know that like home is always here for me and like they would always be there for me. And then, of course, to anybody that's listening, and if they actually made it this far, like, of course, like, thank you for following the journey. And thank you for, like, interviewing me, seeing something in me enough to, call me out and have me here. Like, I think as I get older and as I do more interviews, I just find it super important to talk about not necessarily my success, but, like, what I feel it takes to get there, And that includes like the insight about like, taking care of your mind and meditation and understanding yourself and loving yourself and being super confident. So I'm so happy that I actually got to talk about those things today because those things mean the world to me, And then, of course, if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at bb_bad or on my YouTube, Bianca Dijkhoffz, Dijkhoffz, super complicated Dutch name. Oh, you didn't know that, actually, did you?
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Oh, there you go. And yeah, or you can find me on Facebook too. I have a fan page, but that's pretty much just all the stuff that I share from Instagram over to Facebook. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope to see you in real life at some place, somewhere, at some time.
Yes,
Thank you.